We had our very first Miami Dolphins practice that was open to the public. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but this might have been the lightest day one weekend crowd I have ever seen since covering the Dolphins in 2007. I am Omar Kelly, Miami Dolphins columnist for the Miami Herald. Joining me is Isaiah Smalls. Now, the action was pretty good. I thought it was the best day of practice.
Definitely. By far.
The best day of practice. We had a very impressive interception from Minkah Fitzpatrick. He was working in the nickel against the second team offense. Shot back downfield to cover Taj Washington on an overthrown ball. Gets back there, hawks it down. If you want to see it, it's on the Miami Dolphins website page. They clipped it up to kind of hide some things, but you see the action. It's live. Minkah's balling. For the record, for those who do not follow me on Twitter, Minkah Fitzpatrick has switched agents. He is signed to Drew Rosenhaus as of formally Tuesday, and Minkah's silence has a lot to do with the fact that while he's making $15.5 million this season, he has absolutely no guaranteed money. If he suffers an ACL injury tomorrow, the Dolphins can move off from his contract. Players of his caliber and of his stature, they want their guaranteed money in the following year. We're talking about guarantees in 2026. We're talking about an extension for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I cannot say that that's the reason why Minkah has been silent, but I will tell you this, and this is something that I did not know, but Minkah calls South Florida home. I had no idea.
Oh.
I had no idea. I know his family lives here.
Okay.
I know his brother lives here and plays for St. Thomas Aquinas, cornerback. Yes, I think he's a cornerback for commitment to Alabama. I mean, Georgia. Slap my hand. But I did not know that Minkah calls South Florida home. So he is technically back home with the team that initially drafted him.
That sounds like something that I said the other day, but who's counting anymore?
Hey, listen, you made a valid point. I will give you this credit. You made a valid point. How am I going to tell you how I feel about being in an organization, returning to a franchise, the changes that I see when I haven't been here for about 4 or 5 days? Exactly what do I know? I might not even know all of my teammates' names. And it definitely doesn't help that he got 3 new teammates this week in the secondary. Isaiah, please tell us what the Dolphins have done with the secondary unit and the reason why we got a signing today.
Yeah, it looks totally revamped. Like this, if you would have told me that they would have done this really in one day, they changed the entire outlook of that cornerback room. For starters, this morning, I believe it was Adam Schefter first tweeted out that they signed somebody by the name of Jack Jones, right? A corner who started 16 out of the 17 games for the Las Vegas Raiders last year. Obviously, the Dolphins were thrilled with some of what they saw against him, right? When the two teams battled last year. And to my surprise, this has to be the quickest signing and practice physical thing I've ever seen, because he was on that field today. But I think Shefty tweeted it out around 7:30 in the morning. By 9 a.m. practice, he was out there. He didn't have the name on the back of his jersey, but he did have a number, and that number was 23. Shout out Michael Jordan, right? So, look, what we saw today from him, very brief. There's a play that I tweeted out, if you guys follow my Twitter, that, showed him, like, he got some speed to him. He got a little bit of speed. He had a nice little break on a receiver. It looked about 3 or 4 yards and kind of closed it like that. And so to me, that is a good sign, especially for a guy that doesn't know half of what he's doing right now, because he literally just got there.
Hold on. Cornerback ain't that hard to play. We man or we zone. Stop.
I feel you. But again, this is first day. Not only, remember, this is your first day, not just in front of the media, in front of the fans.
The guy next to you, he turned around and tell you, man is on. That's it. I want him. Cornerback is the one position I expect you day one. And running back, you got 7 runs. 7 runs. They tell you 7 runs. Like
I'd have to disagree with you on running back in this offense specifically, because you're right. Okay. You might only have a few places to go, right? But at the same time, you don't know if you motion to the left, you motion to the right. You don't know if you're doing like a cheat motion. Like, look.
Hold on, that's the complicated stuff for Achan. Everybody else, you get. They tell you 1 to 7 gaps. Protection, okay, maybe this is a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, let's cut him some slack. But
Jack Jones is not the only one signed. Now Cornell,
yes.
Cornell Armstrong was signed earlier this week.
Yes, Cornell Armstrong. I believe it was a 6th round pick for the Dolphins in
2018. He's in the same draft as Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yes, 2018. So they brought him back today. He actually, when Kader Kohou, unfortunately, who went down today during one-on-ones versus Tyreek Hill, looked like a leg injury, the extent of which we do not know. But after he went down, Cornell Armstrong got a chance or two in the nickel. Didn't really, see much, right? Don't necessarily even remember.
It wasn't bad. And I remember Cornell Armstrong. He was not a nickel previously. And I asked him, when have you worked as a nickel? He said, I did nickel in training camp with the Houston Texans. And then he said, I did nickel. No, he started games at nickel for the Houston Texans. And he did nickel in training camp for the Raiders, where he was a teammate of Jack Jones.
Yes, and he actually had some high praise for Jack Jones, right? He called him Jack Boy because he gonna get that ball. That's a direct quote. I mean, he has, I think, 7 interceptions since he got in the league over 3 seasons, 4 of which he's returned for touchdowns. That to me is nothing to sneeze at. That, in fact, is quite impressive. I looked up where that ranks in the NFL for most interceptions over the last since 2022, and it was 25th. He was tied for 25th. With a bunch of players. But to me, considering the lack of interceptions that this secondary in general really had last year, to me, bringing in a ball hawk is a good look, right? Just someone that can go and grab the ball. Unfortunately, he did give up like 8 touchdowns last year, according to Pro Football Reference. That's kind of a lot. but we'll see what happens. Obviously, with Minka kind of on the back end could help, save some things.
Here's my point. Here's my point about everybody, and that wasn't the only one signed.
We got one more. Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton. I got my bad. I'm just so excited about Jack Jones.
Mike Hilton, Mike Hilton, cornerback. Mike Hilton, a nickel cornerback. Signed as we were practicing
Yes.
Yes. So you got 3 cornerbacks in 1 week. My only concern about all 3, not that they're bad players, I'll judge them and evaluate them when they got on the field. I didn't have any issue with what I've seen so far. I haven't had any issues with anybody at the cornerback unit except for Cam Smith. I do have issues with him. It's not good. Why were they unemployed? At this point, where every team is thirsty and needs about 12 cornerbacks, not 12, 9 cornerbacks to make it through camp, 9 cornerbacks, 32 teams. Why are they unemployed at this late a stage? So
that's a great question.
We'll figure that out. We'll talk about it a little bit with those players in particular. But clearly the Dolphins got a little queasy when they saw Kader Kohou go down. And we do not know the nature and extent of his injury. I do not want to speculate. Kader Kohou is the Dolphins' best cornerback up to this point. He was the orange jersey player yesterday, which means he was the top performer that day. He slapped Tyreek Hill's ball down. He is the leader of that room. They absolutely need him. And before the new signing today, he was the only nickel cornerback on the roster, which is why you have Minka Fitzpatrick probably playing in the nickel, And then you also had Ife Melifonwu. He has experience playing the nickel, but he's on PUP right now. So
Yes, of course.
if Kader does not come back within the next 2 weeks, we could be looking at a nickel crisis during the exhibition season. So if you're a nickel cornerback, or if you're an agent representing a nickel cornerback, give Chris Gay a call because he's looking for some help. Nickel is a very specific
Chris on the phone.
Huh?
I just said get Chris on the phone. Get Chris on the phone.
Nickel is a very specific position because the action happens very fast. You have to play with a little bit of physicality. You have to be intelligent. I'm thinking
have the benefit of the sideline.
Have the benefit of the sidelines. It's option routes for the wide receivers, two-way goes. You got to have quick initial speed. You got to have some toughness to you. I'm thinking now that maybe the only person on the roster outside of Cornell Armstrong that might be capable of filling that nickel void might be Ethan Bonner. We also had BJ Adams suffer an injury, undrafted rookie.
Yes.
He looked a little bit wobbly. I don't know if it was heat exhaustion or possibly the C word. I don't want to say it because that means, we don't know what it was. If it was the C word, we know he'll be sidelined for a little while, for a hot minute. But hopefully everything is fine from that standpoint. But yeah, as I've always said, cornerbacks run so much. They are the guys that them and wide receivers, they are the guys that are constantly going. So they suffer more injuries than most during training camp. And unfortunately for the Dolphins, it happens to be one of their weaker positions, one of the positions where they're less proven. But as I said yesterday, and I continue to stand on it, I am far more concerned with the offensive line than I am with the cornerback unit. It's not good. Not good so far. And I will say this about the starters, especially the tackles. They were okay today. They weren't getting abused. Even the backup tackles, I think they did a better job today than yesterday. But now with Aaron Brewer sidelined and Liam Eichenberg on the PUP, you got Andrew Myers working, the third team center, working as your starting center. And Jonah Savanaya. Close?
No. I didn't hear the second one. Go ahead, one more time.
I said Jonah Savanaya. Savanaya.
No, Savainaya.
Jonah Savainaya.
There you go. Good Lord.
It's creating a level of anxiety. Jonah Savainaya.
I can tell.
He's doing okay. He's adjusting to left guard, which is a position that he has not played on a consistent basis. It's something that he's got to get used to. I saw him one particular play standing up Zach Sealer, which I think, props to you. Zach's a very good player. But then there were a lot of tackles in the backfield. Again, Jordan Brooks is one of my top performers of training camp so far. Jordan Brooks might be in the backfield making tackles probably 2-3 times a day. You know what? One player that I want to mention who did not make my stock up or did not make my top performers, but Shannon Tindall. He is flashed every single day. And I have been critical of Shannon Tindall his entire career. But young man, you're starting to show up. You're starting to act like you belong here. And I'm very proud of you.
In particular today, what I liked about the play he made in the backfield, I might add, was it looked like it was instinctual, right? Yeah. I think a lot of times with young players, they might get sometimes too far in their head and it's clunky. But at the end of the day, this is football. It's a game you've been playing since you was a kid, right?
Yep.
And so it looked like the play that he made today, which was essentially, look, he's an inside linebacker just sitting there, saw the hole open up, shot the gap, met the guy right at the line of scrimmage. Instinctual, very basic play, but it wasn't something that we've seen a lot of from Channing Tindall. And that's why you kind of got to give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely not.
He looked like a missile.
Yeah.
It was one of those things.
He looks like an NFL player right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all right.
Sure.
It's only taking you 3 years to figure it out, but we getting here.
Rather late than never.
Yeah.
Man. Rather late than never.
Minka was clearly. We also had an interception from Jason Marshall Jr., rookie cornerback from University of Florida, Dolphins 5th round pick. I forgot who he was covering, but it was just it was a great pick. It was on Quinn Ewers, who was, I can never give you a props. I got rules, Isaiah. I don't know if you know the rules, but a quarterback cannot ever be considered a top performer on the day that he throws an interception. So Quinn Ewers goes from a good day to a bad day. Zach Wilson threw an interception as well. Tua Tagovailoa has not thrown an interception in camp so far.
I want to go back to what you said about Quinn, because I think he was able to make up for that with that bomb he had at the end of practice. Now, don't get me wrong. I agree with you. I don't think you can be called a top performer when you throw an interception. However, I think the interception that was made, I think he flashed a little bit of athleticism that I don't think we'd seen before. It was him literally tracking the ball in the air and him jumping, perfectly timing it, high pointing the ball and just bringing it down, right? Like it's a textbook play that when you look up how to intercept the ball as a cornerback, you want to have that in there. So I'm sure his coaches were extremely happy at that. However, he had a good day outside of that. A solid day outside of that. I don't want to say good. A solid day outside of that. Specifically highlighted. I'm talking about Quinn Ewers, specifically highlighted by that deep bomb towards the end of practice that got some big cheers from the crowd.
I believe it was D. Eskridge.
Yes, it was.
Who is? I've been a D. Eskridge fan for quite a while.
Yeah.
I would struggle to tell you he's not the 4th best receiver on this team. He's clearly more active than what's his name? The
NWI?
guy. Yeah, NWI. The guy, I forgot his name.
So I'm guessing. So he's behind Malik then. D, in your opinion? I'm not mad at that. I think we haven't talked a lot about Malik Washington, but I think if we're talking biggest point of growth from like last year to this year, I remember when I was watching him.
Okay. From last year this time to this year?
Yes. Okay. It's night and day, because I remember last year watching him being like, this is the guy that they picked to it.
Yeah,
like,
he was horrible.
He was dropping everything last year. And you could tell it looked like, I wasn't sure if it was nerves or what, but like he did not look like an NFL player. He looked like he barely looked like a college player last year. At this point of the season, right?
Yeah. No. He came on strong at the end of training camp. But yes, I would agree with you. I didn't think he deserved a spot on the 53-man roster.
Yes.
They gave it to him anyway. And then he actually blossomed as the season progressed and unseated Odell Beckham as a 3rd wide receiver.
Exactly.
And the primary punt returner when Braxton Berrios went down. And he's got a lot of potential on upside. Now, for me, I can't not ignore what D. Eskridge does. This is a former 2nd round pick who fell on some hard times, got himself into a little bit of trouble. Dolphins picked him up off the waiver wire, elevated him up from the practice squad. But he could play.
Yeah.
Some of the young receivers we have not seen much from. What was his name? I forget their names once they stop making plays. Eric Uzukama. He shined day one.
Yeah.
And then disappeared. And I think Storm Duck said it today, because Storm Duck, I would say, is your starter right now because he's just he's one of the most consistent cornerbacks.
Yeah.
And he said it. Coaches want to see consistency from me.
Yeah.
And that's when I watch practice and I watch the action, consistency is how I evaluate you. I know Tua is going to give you consistent practices every day. I know Jordan Brooks is going to give you consistent practices every day. I know Willie Gay Jr. gonna give you consistent practice every day. I know Minka's gonna give you consistent practice every day.
Zach Sealy.
Yeah. I would honestly tell you, I don't know if Zach is giving me his best right now. No disrespect, Zach. Pads come on Tuesday. That's when we really gonna evaluate the trench guys. Okay. I'm not obsessing about it right now, but I will tell you, the O-line, not for me. Not good. Not yet. Maybe things change when Pad come on. I don't know.
I'm very interested to see when Pads come on because I'm wondering if the guys are feeling itchy now because I'm feeling itchy. I'm like, I want to see some contact. Like it's all good, but like, because I think also to that point, you can't really evaluate some of the catches that are being made, right? Because there's a few that were made for sure, but once the pads come on, you're looking at a few hospital balls.
I think there was Jason Marshall Jr. There was one catch where Jason Marshall Jr. was like steamrolling into it, had to stop to let the receiver catch the ball because you can't run through him and you definitely don't want to hurt him.
Exactly. Same thing with Elijah Campbell yesterday on a deep ball to the first one to NWI that you're like, that don't count. That don't count.
I know he caught it.
He definitely caught it.
Elijah would have lit him fire.
He would have suffered the consequences for catching that one. Good God.
It's interesting. I will say I noticed Ashton Davis a little bit more today, not for good things. Just got to move a little bit better. He's a big body safety. You got to move a little bit better, or otherwise you're just holding that spot down for Iffy Melifonwu. And we'll see. We'll see as the season progresses. What else do we need to talk about? We've addressed Minka. We've addressed the 3 signings of cornerbacks. Pads come on Tuesday.
Fan of the day.
Okay, we could go for it.
Let's go fan of the day.
But the Dolphins are doing a new initiative where they're giving out the fan of the day honors. It's an orange jersey, and I believe it's signed by the player who is the orange jersey player of the day. Today's orange jersey was Devon Achane. Achane, I could expect consistency from Achane every single day. It was Big E. And as for those who don't know, Big E, as a former Dolphins fan of the year, he's battling some medical issues right now. I believe he just discovered that it was cancer related. So we want to wish Big E a speedy recovery, and hopefully, I don't even know what to say, but I saw him and love and respect Big E. He does podcasts as well. So to see him today was a good thing. He got honored as a fan of the day. I don't know how legitimate this fan of the day voting is, and I think it's we know they're popular fans. We know they're popular fans, and I always love seeing everybody out at training camp. I will say this. I did make a comment early in this podcast and on Twitter about the attendance, that this was the most lightly attended training camp practice that I think I've ever seen. And I was informed that there is a ticket capacity limit that's out there right now. Okay. And because tickets are free, there are people who are signing up for tickets that are not showing up. And so I always tell people, and I'm sure this is breaking all the rules, but I'm a rule breaker. I'm a habitual line stepper. I know who I am. I apologize for my nature.
You're the type that would rather ask for forgiveness than permission.
I am. Even if you don't have a ticket, show up. The ticket taker is not going to turn you away because the seats were empty. There were a lot of empty seats in the stands.
For sure.
And they sell things in the concession stands. They'd like to make money. And I will say this about the Big A fans, which we've talked about and highlighted on this podcast. All of them were blowing, and it was a nice little breeze. I'm now covered. There's a nice little breeze. It's not muggy and humid. And so it's not a bad experience. Now, I always hydrate, and I always tell people wear white or wear light colors. Yeah. Wear breathable clothing, protect yourself from the sun. But I love seeing people out there for training camp, and I think the players get up for it. Yeah. I'm not going to hide the fact that I was disappointed in the attendance today, because I've never been there on a day one where people aren't struggling to find their seats. Never.
Yeah. And barren.
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising for me. So if you do have, and I always say this, if you have the opportunity to go to a Dolphins training camp practice, even if you want to just take the morning off or show up late for work, I would encourage you to do it, especially during the week. Best practices to go are the end of the week. Worst practices to go are the days after a day off. That's a special teams day. That's nap time. And at the end of the week, they generally do simulated scrimmage situations. I'm surprised this week we did not get any red zone work. Clearly, the Dolphins are working on a couple of things before they get to the red zone specific stuff. So I'm proud of what they've accomplished. I don't think they had a bad week at all. I learned a lot of things this week about this team. A lot, and that's what I'm covering in a Miami Herald column. I've learned a lot, and I can't tell you that I know what to expect from this Dolphins team in 2025, but I can tell you that I'm enjoying seeing them formulate who they are, and I'm enjoying seeing them create an identity for themselves. Even Tua today on NFL Network, again, calling out Tyreek, and it's about holding each other accountable. And I've heard people say, well, Tua shouldn't be calling out Tyreek. Well, who should call out Tyreek?
Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard that too. And I think there's a short list of people that not only have the ability to do it, but also that Tyreek respects, right? Because that's the thing. Like, you can call, we've heard some stories of Tyreek getting called out and him laughing it off. There's a specific person that you mentioned during this podcast. I'll let the sleuths figure it out that has called out Tyreek and got laughed off. And so I say all that to say that, look, there's nothing wrong, as Mike told us, there's nothing wrong with having open conversations, right? Because these open conversations are how transparency happens, right? And the only way that teams can really be successful is if everyone's on the same page and everyone's playing for the same goal. And that goal is open and clear and very much so realized, right? And so if it takes, because as you've talked about many times, Tyreek likes the attention, right? Yeah. And so if it takes his name being brought up consistently to be like, dang, maybe I really did hurt some people,
Yeah. So we're talking about his maturity, and he's maturing, he's growing, he's trying to learn the man that he wants to be, the father he wants to be, the NFL player he wants to be. And I agree. Tyreek's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Tyreek is one of the greatest players that I've ever covered in my life. Now, maturity-wise, Tyreek has the maturity of a 12-year-old. It's bad. And you got to grow up, and at some point somebody's going to have to say something to you. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, we know it's not going to be Mike. It hasn't been Mike. Well, Tua has taken it upon himself to basically say, "Hey, cut it out. Let's stop all the foolishness, and that's not the F word that I wanted to say." And I would love to see a grown up Tyreek. I have no problems with the player. I have problems with the look at me behavior. He's had a relatively quiet camp. I think he's performing better as the weeks progress. And to be honest with you, I'm not trying to run Tyreek into the ground. He's 30 years old. They know better.
Yeah. Good Lord, no.
Yeah. Tyreek, but I will say this: if you're going to ask me who does Tua have more of a chemistry and connection with, it's Jalen Waddle right now. Oh, but that's who he worked with all offseason, because Tyreek only had one hand. Yeah. So you're seeing a lot of that work with Jalen Waddle, a lot of it starting to pay off right now.
For sure.
Interesting. On that note, Dolphins in depth. We do not have practice tomorrow, so we will be back on Monday. Looking forward to you. Like, subscribe, continue to follow Dolphins in Depth. And as you know, the Miami Herald, we've got a 3-month special, 3 months for $2 on the website. So you can make sure you get our stock reports, our daily reports of practices, our columns, our stories, everything that we can provide you, the Dolphin fan base. On that note, we are out, and we will see you on Monday.